From Nairobi, Kenya, you're listening to the Kuza Podcast, brought to you by kuza.com.
Are you lonely? Are you feeling neglected? Are you feeling alone? We have something for you. Kuza Podcast, basi hapo karibuni sana kwa Kuza Podcast. Hizo ndo maswali wengi mnapenda kusikia kwa hizo vitu. Are you lonely? You need somebody by your side. Tell me. Tukianza hii shughuli, by the way, how is your friendship life going on? Kuna wengine wetu tuko na ma situationships tu, hata si ma friendships. Hatujui ni nini inafanyika. Huyu mjamaa anakuambia maybe not. So wewe uko tu hapo hivyo, badala worship song yako tu ni you're lonely, I'm so lonely, I need somebody. Unalia machozi na kutoka. How is your friendship life going on, by the way? Mimi jo, kuna vitu zingine hatutacha kuambia kwa church. Na especially leo watu wanashindana wakisema hivyo tu, are you lonely? Unajua tukisikia kisauti kidipa kinakuongelesha. Are you alone? Do you need company? Well, I tell you what, we are talking about friendship today. I think it's important for us to grasp the realities of this thing. Who are your friends? Now, most of us have many friends. Like, question, rhetoric, of course. How many friends do you have on Facebook? Okay. How many friends do you have on Instagram or followers? Okay. By the way, come when I'm normal, you know you're following more people than those who are following you, right? You're normal. Those are realities. How many friends do you have on TikTok? How is your friendship life going on, by the way? I mean, can you be able to point to us one person that can say, this is a friend, right? Or I really like from now to the end? Well, I want us to talk about that today. What is friendship all about? Are we having it all together or are we losing something on it? And I want to risk it this time round. Welcome, my friends. I hope you need friends of kweli. So I want to welcome my friends here today. Justus mwenyewe.
Asante sana.
Yeah. Baba Matt hapo na Matt mwenyewe. It's nice to see you and your father here today. Yeah. Muli manage kufanya aje history, father and son, all those two different things. Anyways, yeah. So welcome. Today conversation ni hiyo. Are you lonely? Are you feeling neglected? Friendship. Tell me, do you guys think that you have genuine friends, Matt? Do you think like you have people that can say, you know what, these ones are really, really friends?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I do. I have some here in Kenya. I also have some in the US. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm married.
Right.
Yeah, so my wife is definitely,
all right,
a genuine friend.
When you are single and you're just like when ulikuwa tu arif, you know, what did you experience legitimate friendships when you were younger?
Oh yeah, I had. I can name several of them. Definitely some really good friends.
Right.
Even still today, even though like they're in the U.S., for example, but even though I don't see them or talk to them all the time, when you come back together, it's like you've not lost any ground.
Right.
I love friendships like that, and then I do talk to them as often as I can. But
right.
They're great people.
Okay. All right. Justo?
Yes, of course.
Do you have people that are friends ama wewe ni wale wanakujua tu hivi kiuso kindani hawajui?
Yes, I'll say that of course my wife is number one hapo kwa urafiki. Yes, tunaweza kosana, tunapendana, tunakosana, hakuna kitu inatutenganisha. That is really a friend. I also have other friends.
So at least outside. Sasa mimi ni wewe. Wewe ni mimi.
Yes, I fit there. So I have other friends, of course, outside my wife. I have Mavo. I have Matt here. I have Gidi. I have other friends.
Wait. Did you just call our names?
Ndio.
Oh, man.
Sana.
All right. Can we, Kuza Podcast is taking a break for us to be emotional. All right, let's go on. Okay.
Yes, and I have other guys that we've grown up together. That honestly, we've really stuck together through all seasons. They've seen me when struggling, sleeping hungry. They will come, we sleep hungry together and just share stories.
Okay, sawa.
Wanaacha food kwa wanakuja tulale.
Wanakuja mali yako.
I've had some amazing friends. Anytime I need them, it's just a call away and they will stop so many things just to be there.
Right.
So and I'm really grateful for such people.
Fantastic. And I think the reason why we need to build on this, for those of you're tuning in is because there's something that we're losing in Matters friendships today. I mean, with all this craze of, online friends and people that are just there, virtually, and, people want to chat more than they want to link up and just sit face to face. And I mean, you all know about the whole thing of, it's online chat now. And we are losing the one-on-one kind of thing where there is the genuine feel of what friendship is all about. I don't know how you're doing in that, because if you have more friends online than you have physically, I want to just raise the alert right now. You are not okay. By the way, uko sawa. If most of the people that you call friends, they're just friends just online, and you don't have that physical connection, like something that is more than a screen. Are they there? Do they show up? And those are things that we want to build. And so we barely think about friendship in a very deep way, and that's what we want to provoke your mind today. Again, are you lonely? Are you alone? Well, consider who is your friend. Now, Mzungu, nataka tuanze kubuild conversation quite pole tu tuone tutaelekea hapi. So, why is it critical for us to value the whole thing of friendship?
Well, I think you go back even to Genesis, where all things start.
Yeah.
God said to Adam, it is not good that man should be alone. I'll make a helper fit for him. So man need to have, a relationship, a friendship. You think about during this time too, you think about Adam's seeing all the animals, and there's a female this and a male that, and a female this and a male that, and he's naming them all. And then, I wonder if it built some form of a loneliness in him, right? And then maybe it kind of helped him understand when God said it's not good that you should be alone. Right.
So does alone here mean lonely? Is alone and lonely synonymous?
No, there's a difference.
Okay, so,
right. So anyways, but he was by himself, right? And so now you think about then now what's amazing too is you move forward a little bit in the progress of the gospel. In John 15:13, the cross was the most heroic act of friendship that's ever been done. What Jesus did on the cross.
Right.
As he drew near to his death, Jesus told his disciples that death was not only a demonstration of his love, but also an act of friendship.
Right.
We see in John 15:13, he says, greater love has no one than this, that someone would lay down his life for his friends. And so again, this idea of Jesus laying his life down on the cross is an act of friendship. Jesus, wants us to be in friendship or relationship with him.
Right.
And you think about later on, like 2 verses later in John 15:15, he says that he calls the disciples his friends, and you are my friends. And then also he kind of tells them in John 15:14, one of the ways that we can now have a good, strong friendship is if you do what I command you to do.
Okay.
John 15:14.
Right.
And so that's basically, it's great to think about that, Jesus Christ, we can know him on a friendship level too.
Right,
and that's even possible because of him giving his life for us. So Jesus obviously values friendship.
Okay.
Number 2 is God himself has made us, to be friends.
Right.
So therefore we are made for friendship.
We are made for friendship. Like that is what we are cut off. That's our DNA. We are built in such a way that we must connect. Now, kuna wale watu wanasemanga to me, I like being alone. Just can you just give us a kidogo ka insight on or what you understand? And those people just say, me, I'm just okay by myself. What's that narrative all about? How do you break that down for you as somebody who is interact with many young people outside here, knowing that Matt is saying that we are made for friendship? Well, what about those ones who think otherwise?
I think sometimes we are blinded, of course, to ourselves and to what even life really, sometimes what lies ahead of us. Because, of course, for anyone who have gone ahead in life, will basically look back and be like, you need people. You're not an island. You're not, self-sufficient. You really need people around your life. And so for me, like one thing I've always looked at it is that, we always anticipate there will always come tough moments in life.
Okay.
And in such moments, you really need a friend. You really need someone, who will be able to help you navigate, what lies ahead, because those moments will be there in life. Again, sometimes you are even in a hole at that particular moment, and and sometimes you don't know what do I really do in this particular situation. So beside of needing friendship due to what we anticipate in future, what may come. Sometimes you are exactly in that moment that we really need people.
Right.
And maybe you need just somebody to sober you up. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 18 verse 1 that whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment.
Right.
Sometimes you just need somebody to sober you up and tell you, hey guy, hapana hapa unauma nje. And you really need, you need to open up. And so a friend is that person who will come in handy at that particular moment. Again, looking at season economy and where we are, looking at Ecclesiastes 4:9, I like it. It says that two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. Now my wife and myself, for example, in the aspect of the marriage and relationship, you realize bringing all our resources together, bringing our minds together, all the wisdom that God has given each and every one of us, as the burden of life is made lighter. And the burden of life is made lighter as a result of course, people really coming together and having these close friendships.
Okay.
And so I think to me it is quite important. We are blinded to so many things, and so and you don't want, because those people who isolate themselves, they never anticipate they will be in a particular situation.
Right.
And so you realize that they will not be involved also in other people's programs. Or like my pastor used to share with us of this story about Mzee, who every time there was something happening in the community where he was living, he always used to send money. Nimetuma pesa inisimamie, nimetuma pesa. He had money, but other people in the community, it was, they really to mourn with each other. Kama mtu amefiwa, they were always there together. And then it turns out that one time the child to this Mzee, passes on. And so what happened is that the community comes together, brings the money together and sends their chairman. Pelekea ule mkubwa hii pesa, mwambie hii pesa itatusimamia. And he realized it hit him very hard that, I thought the money that I had, could be able to meet all my needs, but I realized there is something bigger that I need. I need people around. I need people to help me through this process. So my money cannot be able to do all this and help me through the morning journey. So, and so from that point, that was a turning point for him.
Right.
And because he was like, he had to call the villagers and tell them, I never knew that coming together, is this important, but this time I really need you, and I promise not to go back to my old ways of life.
Isn't God enough for us to have connection with? Why are we talking about friendship with other people, Matt? Why are we talking about, because just as saying we need, but Jesus nini?
Well, there's a lot of verses that encourage us to help one another, encourage one another. Like, for example, Hebrews 10:24, let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works.
Right.
And so that's important for us to meet together. There's a way that now God uses people, right, in our lives to help now us relate better to him.
All right.
Right. Yeah. The God is sufficient, right, for us to have, for he is enough. However, there's a way that, again, that God uses people. And I think also too, he wants us to relate with one another, because you think about even in the Gospels, by the way that we love one another, now it shows the gospel is true.
All right.
And I think I'm in my mind, I think it's somewhere in John 15, which I've quoted from.
Yes.
So, but if we love one another as Jesus Christ has loved us, now that's a testimony to the world that he is actually there and present and real.
Okay, so there is a necessity for us to have friends.
Yes.
There is a necessity for us to have friends. History ya kwenda tu online ati, niko na followers 300. Come, please. Ebu acha jokes. Whoever had 300 friends, who, where, when? Come on. You need to have people that you can say legit, these ones are real deal friends. And of course, we will tell you from the onset, the best friend to ever have is Jesus Christ. Yes, that's true. And a relationship with him is a critical thing. That is why you need to follow us. That's why you need to check out www.kuzaapp.com, and you'll find a myriad of reasons why, from the writings and the blogs and the teachings, why a connection, a friendship, a relationship with Jesus Christ is important. You also need to download the app for your own growth And of course, it's a transferable thing you can share with somebody else and they can download as well so that you can grow in your faith. We continue to build this conversation on friendship. I think we have established, number one, the necessity of it. Why we need friends in our lives, that we have been made for friendship. That is who God wired us to be. Well, let's answer the most practical aspect of it then. So how do I be a friend? How do I be a good friend? How can I become a good friend to somebody else? Because, I'm sure it takes time. It takes effort. It's not a walk in the park to be a friend, or to have people who call you friend. And so maybe help us to understand, you guys, how to be a good friend.
One thing I just really encourage is, one is to exhort one another. And exhort basically means just to push somebody to do good things, right? So encourage them, do the right thing, do the right thing. And again, I just quoted Hebrews 10:24. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works. So I'm pushing other people to continue to love, do good things, to be respectful, be kind, all these things that are good works for us to do. So a good friend is going to encourage you, right? And so we now in turn just encourage people, do the right things, be obedient to the Lord, etc. Now, another good quality of how to be a good friend is to rebuke one another. As in, when wanafanya dhambi, you say, wait, watch it heal, right? Right. And so Proverbs 27:6 says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. So in other words, a good friend is going to wound you sometimes and say, wait, unafanya makosa. You're doing the wrong thing.
Right.
But now I want to caution us here to kind of balance this a little bit. Sometimes we can just be, so I'm being a good friend by telling you that you're in sin, and we can now become too harsh with our rebukes.
Right.
We need to remember Galatians 6:1 says, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. So the goal of rebuking one another is restoration. The goal of rebuking is not to drive them away, but instead to restore them and bring some restoration there. So there's been a lot of times in the stories where I've had people in my life that, they come and say, hey, listen, you've messed up. You need to say you're sorry. You need to repent of such things. And I've appreciated that.
Right.
I need that because I mess up and I don't realize things and you've done that to me, Marvin. Justice has done that to me, and I'm very grateful for that.
Fried chicken. Kenyan fried chicken. KFC. Real deal.
And you've done it to us.
Yeah. I am a witness.
I also witness to that. I'm a witness.
And it's important. It's important. But, before we jump into the next thing, so I'm thinking, fine. So, one of the ways that I become a good friend is by exhorting and rebuking, which I think is a good thing. But Cheki, before you get to the place of rebuking me, lazima tuko tumebuild kitu, right? I think maybe what can you say about before the journey of exhorting and rebuking? There's that part of how do we start this friendship anyway? I don't know how can you respond to that, because I'm imagining you don't just get to random people and start rebuking and encouraging them, because there's and maybe hapo ndo pali watu wengi wanakwama. People probably get stuck there. I don't know, just what do you say about that? Because the journey, that journey of we have met you, and then the how of building it to the place where we can now start having like black and white conversation like that.
For me, relationship or friendship begins just from acquaintances. Tumemeet tu hivi and hi, and then slowly we build just a casual friendship. Maybe there are some things of interest that we may engage.
Hizo ndo tips nataka, give us some of those tips, like how do we get there so that we now are able to swallow what Matt is saying,
so of course from just the casual engagements, then of course for me that's the way I have always seen friendship.
Right.
Then we move from that to close friendship, whereby you want to have this person, what are the areas of commonality? Maybe, you know, nyinyi watu wa Arsenal, nyinyi wote.
Rudia hiyo tena.
Kama juzi I saw something online. Watu wa Arsenal wakiwa church wakifellowship.
Naomba nakwambia tunataka kufanya conference.
Yes, you know, so becoming, of course, you know, at the level of close friendship, of course, with close friends, you can have quite a number, and these are people you have many things in common, and close friends have I keep saying they have the capacity to influence your life negatively or positively.
Okay.
When you get into that level of close friends, because there are a lot of things that you are doing together. Then, of course, now in terms of intimate friends, from all the close friends you have, of course, people isolate, like, huyu ndio naweza mwambia vitu zangu, zile personal, you know,
okay.
zile vitu zangu personal. So, so you cannot just move around rebuking. And for this friendship to be built, we talk about investing. Again, there is a lot of investment into one another.
Even you cannot just move around. You cannot just move around rebuking.
If you have a friend who, like, for example, I have such friends that I came across, and as in, like, somebody never sees any good thing in you. They only come out when you have done something wrong. And so the thing is that even if sometimes they are rebuking you out of genuineness and they want you to correct, but they never speak any good thing about you, we don't take it that lightly, you know. We want somebody that you have a relationship, that at least they celebrate my success, you know, at the same time they can come and tell me, you know, at least correct me where I'm in error, because there is a relationship. So, but this calls, of course, there is a lot of investment in one another. And we are talking about our time. We are talking about our resources. Like recently, one of my friends in the podcast just sacrificed a whole morning to just go and help me, you know, to search for a house. You know, that was quite something. Yeah, that was quite something. And they are here together with me in this podcast, which I'm very grateful. You know, investing. Yes. So that was quite something. And in terms of also resources, yeah, there are times that, you know, you'll find yourself, you're struggling. I found myself in those moments that where mahali niko is between the hard place and a rock, and I have a family here, you know, and another friend again has come through. And so there is a lot of investment in time and resources. Also, maybe in terms of how to be a good friend, talk about avoiding unrealistic expectations.
What are they?
Sometimes unakaa unatarajia kwamba your friend will not hurt you at some point.
In fact, by the way, snooze. What are some unrealistic expectations that friends, not you may have, but people have had of you? Kwanza wewe ni mzungu, hii lazima ushare na sisi. Hebu tuambie, what are some of the unrealistic expectations we have had of you?
I mean, the truth is, one thing I will say that's been, I think I've said this in the podcast in the past, that, you know, you've had people that they don't even greet you. Hautaki kusalimia, wanasema leta pesa.
Kitu.
Yeah, bring something. And I remember I got frustrated one time. I'm like, say my name.
Get out of
Say
here.
my name first. I know, it's more, I said, sema jina langu kwanza. And then nitapatia pesa.
Allah.
And then they don't know my name. And I was like, I'm trying to let them know. It kind of hurts when you want to now withdraw, you know, but there's no.
So with them it was just money.
Yeah, it was just all about money.
Yeah.
So I think that was an unrealistic expectation.
Okay.
You know, and the thing is, I want to help people, but you can't always help people. It's not. Yeah.
Right. Si tuna expect, unajua ni mlami, tuna expect lazima uwe na $1 kwa mfuko, unaona? Na sasa dola vile iko very high. So tuna expect tukikutana na wewe lazima tu get.
There was another Mzee, there's another Mzee that was a friend of mine, and every time I'd see him, it was always some story about, I need money for this funeral or this event or this thing or tuko na shida.
He looked like he was always in the thick of it.
And eventually I said, you know, do you love me? You know what I mean? It was like
unanipenda ama unapenda pesa zangu?
Eventually I was like, I feel like I don't even want to come near you kwa sababu naomba.
Unrealistic expectations. Anyway, just to continue. So unrealistic expectations.
Yes. So that's really we have, of course, friends. You'll not expect your friend to hurt you. Again, like what Matt is talking about, transactional kind of a friendship. There is no relationship at all. It's just transactional. When you don't give me, you know, that's a whole issue. ulipatia fulani mimi huwezi nipe, you know, so
right.
that's unrealistic. So I think let your friend be human, you know, they are human, watakukanyaga at some point. Unknowingly sometimes utajipata tu au ndio wanakuambia hapana, they are siding with someone else against you, and because you are wrong in this particular thing. So there is that. I think avoiding unrealistic expectations, because of
let them be human. I think that was a very important thing. Let them be human.
Let them be human.
Do not have AI friends. Not AI atakuwa perfect unamuinstruct. Let them be human, by the way. All right.
Yes, and then maybe just to land it on, I talk about bearing each other's burden.
Right. Okay.
I think there are always those moments, of course, when you are at the thick of it again.
Right.
So I think being there for your friend, sometimes it's just presence. You may not have all those things that people might offer, but just being present together with them.
Right.
In those moments they are mourning. You know, I had a friend who really touched my heart. Unfortunately, he passed on some times back. And this guy, I remember I lost a niece of mine. A niece my brother even never saw, even never came even for burial. But this guy, we used to serve together in youth leadership.
Right.
This guy sacrificed, gari yake ilikuwa ni ya Uber, you know, and running through the hospital each and every time. Whenever I needed to go anywhere,
Sure.
the guy could close his work. You know, he really made lots of sacrifice.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about, bearing each other's burden.
Right.
You know, and so you realize that kind of a friendship, I think to me that is critical.
Yes.
It just means a lot.
Yes.
When somebody is able to offer their time, their resources and all that, and of course to come and just mourn and be with you at that greatest hour of need. And I think the challenge is that, are you really that kind of friend? Looking at all those qualities that you have mentioned, can you say you are a good friend?
Right.
Looking at those things.
Can you say you're a good friend? Matt, as we come to a close, I need you to probably highlight some maybe 2 or 3 points on this question. So there are people who have friends but they are not really friends. Kuna urafiki, alafu kuna hii jina ingine ya Kiswahili inaitwa unafiki. Ni wanafiki. They're not friends. They're just there to probably just mess you up and stuff. What would you say to people who have wrong friends? You know, they're those ones who just pursue wrong friendships and they know it is spoiling them. It's either a girl with a guy who is messing them up, or a guy with a lady who's messing them up, or friends who are just leading each other to the ditch. Because you're talking about friendship. How do we help people to walk away from then the wrong friendships?
I think some people, maybe deep down, they have bad friendships because they have fear of being alone. And so they're just willing to take anybody, you know? And so I think some part of it too is, you know, that they feel scared to be vulnerable and share, you know, more themselves, because if I actually do share some of my vulnerabilities, some people will really hate me.
Okay.
And I think so there's a lot of reasons I think that kind of people get into these bad relationships.
Right.
And so I would just say, you know, to be a good friend, you do need to be vulnerable. And I think that when you realize, you know, that I mess up, and also too, I have things that have hurt me. I've made big mistakes in my life. I think when you're vulnerable with that, now it kind of attracts others to be vulnerable too. And I think people realize too, like, oh man, and I find it's been more often than not, like people are going to be compassionate back to you. Like when you share your vulnerabilities to people, generally it brings them to now have some compassion to you. That's more true for Christian friends for sure.
Okay.
But I think people are just scared to be vulnerable. And because I think, you know, when you're vulnerable now, someone responds with compassion. I think that's somebody that can be a good friend potentially.
Okay.
But people, I feel like there's just a lot of distrust that you'll run into people here to where they never want to share anything personal because now they're afraid people are going to use it and somehow abuse them or hurt them with that. But I would say, so you got to have some form of courage in order to now have true friends and real good friends in your life.
Right.
So yeah, I would just really encourage people, have courage, ask the Lord for grace to now to be able to be vulnerable to people. And so now you can now help attract, you know, somebody who's like going to be a real friend and show compassion to you. That's Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, where are you at again? Are you lonely? Are you feeling alone? Jakey, God has given you an opportunity to be able to interact, connect, and have good friendships with people. I think we need to take advantage of it and just dive into it. First of all, have a functional friendship or relationship with Jesus Christ. But also, I mean, there's a lot that God has put at your disposal for you to be able to be a good friend to people. And so you want to probably do that first and foremost. And so continue plowing in. Don't give in to these realities of, hizi mauongo za mimi nimependa tu peke yangu, blah, blah, blah. No, God has not created you to be alone. You have capacity to be a friend. And the kind of friends that you want to have, be that kind of friend kwanza. So then you are able to even build precedents then. So people know, when it comes to this person, they're this kind of friend, and that is what we love, and we want to grow and become like that as well. And so you don't need to die lonely. No, you don't have to be lonely. No. You can have legitimate friendships, and that is something that God has put at our disposal. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for just having us enjoy this conversation. Until next time, Kuza Podcast. Mpaka siku nyingine, keep on doing what you're doing. Follow, watch, share, repeat. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the Kuza Podcast. Brought to you by KuzaApp.com, an online ministry with blogs, videos, podcasts, and a mobile app. Make sure to subscribe to get more content to help you grow spiritually.